We're Angelo and Ylsa, a couple of out-of-work theater producers from Western New York. We are exploring the South with no particular destination, along with our 3 children in a 15-year-old shuttle bus. Subscribe and join us on the Spire engine and see what adventures lie ahead.
So we're more than halfway up the Natchez Trace.
Yeah.
Home again, jiggity jig. But we're already home.
To eat a fat pig. We actually are going home to eat a fat pig.
Yes.
We ordered the Ylsa from Peterson Farms in Jamestown, New York. And someone is picking it up for us, so we will arrive home to a raw pig in our fridge that we're going to cook for Christmas. Oh, Ylsa means Christmas ham.
Swedish. It's salt cured instead of smoked, which
it's brine.
I appreciate. It is better than smoked ham. I don't really like to eat a lot of pork products, but you know, I eat pepperoni. I'm Italian, so.
We'll get a pizza for Christmas. That'd be easy. Let's order a pizza.
Sounds great.
This is beautiful, and I don't want to stop. I do want to stop.
Yeah, I don't want to go. I want to stay.
Right.
I want to just keep on traveling indefinitely. It really is. It's gorgeous here.
Like by tonight, we could be in the snow.
Yeah. I was just checking the weather back in Jamestown, and on Christmas, it's a high of 25. 25 degrees. A low of 16, I think it was, or 14. 14.
Why would anyone ever settle there? It doesn't even make sense.
I keep asking my family. They came from basically subtropics in the Mediterranean Sea. It's warm all year round. They go to the other side of the planet and they settle in the north. They settle in Western New York, of all places. I don't understand. Don't get me wrong, I love our city. I love Jamestown. I love the people there and all, you know, the things.
I hate everything.
It is nice to see, you know, colors changing on the leaves, but there's color changing, you know, everything here too, and it's just not as cold.
The trees turned into pine trees in the winter.
But like, I'm looking up and I see bare trees, so those trees must have lost their leaves. I see leaves on the ground, brown leaves.
There were pictures I found online of the Natchez Trace in fall, and that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gorgeous. You have the fall foliage without the winter, the bitter, bitter winter, the biting cold winter, and salt on the roads to rust your cars. I mean, I haven't seen a rust bucket in a month. When we get home, that's all we're gonna see. Rust buckets. Old jalopies. Rust bucket. You rust bucket.
I want to stay.
I think that you and I, honey, I think that we are overlanders at heart.
Yeah.
We're gonna live on the road. We're gonna do this. I mean, we're gonna keep our.
Move out of the house because they're such whiny, ungrateful kids right now.
Yeah, no. Kati's been having a great time. She's been sweet.
Horrifying.
It was.
This morning was horrifying. Children were miserable. Everyone was screaming and crying. Maybe we should get that stuff on film so people can see the reality of things. That would make them even more mad if we filmed them yelling and crying.
I've been having to yell back at them. If you don't stop, we're gonna turn this bus around. We're gonna spend Christmas in the desert. Which sounds wonderful to me.
It does.
They started crying, and I said, you realize that we actually can't make it to the desert in time for Christmas anyway? Like, it's not really gonna happen.
It's an empty threat.
As much as I'd love that, like, we can't. Like, if we had gone from Texas west, we might have made it in time for Christmas.
And they would have got better Christmas presents because we would have had time to stop and get something.
Yep.
Now we're going home. They're going to get a candy
nothing.
cane.
Yep. All they really deserve is lumps of coal anyway right now.
Lumps of coal.
We wouldn't need lumps of coal if we were living in a warmer climate. Oh well.
This is so mean. We love our kids.
We love our kids.
They're gonna watch
Usually.
this and be like, you talked about us like that?
Oh, we always
no,
love our kids.
We talked worse than that. We just edited out the worst parts.
No, our kids are great. They've actually been really good this trip.
I just don't think they realize how to appreciate this, and they don't realize how awesome it is. They just don't get it.
Yeah, how many kids out there get to say they lived on a bus and traveled the whole country during a pandemic?
Yeah.
You know, like Kati, the youngest, she's been very appreciative. When she sees her big brother and sister complaining, she makes a point to say, I'm not complaining, I'm happy. She's been sweet. And for the most part, Logi's been very sweet too. He's just,
at first,
you know,
he didn't want to come home. He was on your team, and now he tells us we suck at YouTube, and we're boring, and everything we do is boring.
You know, I had them watch the episode flying to New York, or driving to New York,
Yeah.
or from New York to Florida yesterday,
Yeah.
and they loved it. All three of them loved it. So I think
That episode was pretty epic.
it is epic.
We sort of we lost our touch a little bit because we were experiencing things and we weren't filming everything, but we still got the gist of our trip, I think.
Yeah. I think Logi just didn't really, he wasn't grasping how it was going to look when it was all edited together. And he just thought I was just getting a bunch of boring stuff. But, Tupelo.
Tupelo National Battlefield. See, all this stuff is so cool. I want to
I know.
do it all. Just keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
We're missing it all.
I know.
What if we could never do this again? There's a state park that has
Yeah.
a picture of RV on it. So this is safe.
West Main Street.
Main Street. Anyway,
My
and
heart hurts about not going to Elvis' birthplace. I was really excited about that.
Main Street.
is it Elvis' birthplace or Elvis's birthplace?
Angelo's birthplace.
Anyway, so even Raya, I think, is appreciating a lot of it. She just really, she's experiencing FOMO, I think.
I think she's missing out on a lot at home.
Yeah,
and
but she's
I
not.
remember that feeling, and I even get that feeling sometimes as an adult, but it's a false reality. I think we need to get her the book by Eckhart Tolle. It's called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. Because you shape your reality by your perceptions. So how you perceive it is how it is. And that's an important life philosophy to learn, is you have to experience things how you make yourself experience them. Be controlled by your internal compass instead of all the external stimuli. Like, you decide how you're going to feel about things. And I think it's making a pattern, and she's creating a habit of, I hate this, I hate this. She's reinforcing it. Every time she says it, she gives power and strength to that feeling in those words. You fake it till you make it. Say, I love this. I'm learning something new every day. I'm seeing new places, and I'm with my family. And you were like, an attitude of gratitude is the most important thing to have.
Yep.
When living life, doing anything, not just traveling.
Mm-hmm.
That's Ylsa's philosophy for the day.
I like that. Careful, stay on the road.
Off the road.
Yeah. And I know she'll look back on this and she'll say, what an awesome experience that was. She's, this fear of missing out, she's missing out on being locked down. like
New York State is hardcore right now.
we're about to enter Tennessee, which is, I believe, the 12th state we will have visited
Yes.
in less than 2 months.
Yeah, and we're not really visiting Tennessee. We have a full tank of gas. Sorry, fuel. We have a full tank of fuel. So we're pretty much just passing through Tennessee. Not doing that next time though. If we go to Tennessee, we're going to see the things.
Yes. We're going to see Nashville and Memphis. And we're going to see what Tennessee has to offer next time. This time, we're just zipping through it because the kids want to be back in Jamestown for Christmas.
And I think, does Tennessee have any quarantine laws too?
I don't know, but I hear that they're like one of the highest infection rates.
Yeah.
So it's good that we're just zipping through. Not going to see anybody, not going to interact with anybody. One thing that I was noticing, we had to get off the trace for just a minute so we can get fuel. And it was kind of cool seeing the houses.
Yeah.
It's almost, it's another interesting thing is like, it's like the architects in different parts of the country have different tastes. You know, like brand new houses being built in Mississippi look different from brand new houses being built in New York. And old houses, like they were built in different times. Like Mississippi hit its boom of house building at a different time than New York did. So there's also, like the old houses here are not as old as the old houses there, or whatever, you know, it's just everything.
I don't know what you mean at all with what you're saying.
Okay, so certain states became populated earlier than other states. So when they started building houses, those earlier states, it was before houses were even being built in the later states, right?
Oh, okay.
So the houses in the older states are older. There's more older architecture in certain states versus other states. So there's different things to see. Some of the earliest architecture in certain states really is only like 100 years old or something.
Yeah.
And so there's just a whole palette of different kinds of architecture to look at when you go from state to state. For example,
that RV that went by was named Maud.
That's
Sorry,
funny.
I just thought it was cute.
It's okay. Southern Louisiana, you see a lot of French architecture. You don't see that in northern Louisiana or in Texas or Florida. You know, that's just, you know, what I was talking about. Anyway, point is, I really enjoy seeing different kinds of architectures, different kinds of houses, and how different people live in different parts of the country.
I was surprised by what I saw in Mississippi, our first time through and this time. A lot of the houses are one story, metal roofs, and they're just simple. They're nice and they're simple. And I always saw some larger homes, but two-story homes with more intricate roofs and decorative things. But I did see a lot of very simple structured houses, and it's weird to me because in New York, everyone has two-story, three-story houses. The houses are big and intricate and have shingle roofs, most of them. And they experience so much weather, like the snow just ruins roofs and paint peels and chips. And there's so much maintenance to do to homes in New York because of the winters. And down here they don't have that. And I think you would think there'd be more elaborate houses in the South where they don't experience the harsh winters like we do. Like I now am fixated on building a house like Elvis's birthplace house. Just a simple, like one long house with a simple A-frame type roof and metal roof, one story, so we can work on it ourselves. And I'm surprised there's not more people that do that. They have these big expansive houses that they have to heat and provide electricity to. And you just don't need that much space. I guess though in the cold you do need more space because you have to spread out a little bit.
Spend more, you live in your house instead of out of your house more the further north you get. That's a good point, yeah. An observation I was making about the Trace is that there are no houses on the Trace. So if that's something that you really enjoy is looking at the architecture and the different kinds of houses along the way as you're driving from Mississippi through Tennessee and into Kentucky, you're better off not taking the Trace. This is more just a nature run. You know, there's a lot of cool history here.
I prefer the nature. I like just a little taste is all I need. A couple of little jaunts where we see how people live. But this is very pleasant. It's peaceful. It's soothing. It's hardly populated at all. It's so nice. I just kind of zone out. I get tired when we're driving and I have to stop
I don't prefer nature or architecture. I like them both. And I feel like we've done a lot of both on this journey so far. And so I'm happy to just drive along the trace where it's just serene and that's all there is nature. And cool little historical spots. We've stopped at many little spots and learned a little bit about the history of this area.
We got to see how people live. We got to see how the Natchez and the is it Choctaw? Is that how you say that? The Indian tribe?
I don't know.
Or Native American? They were calling them Indians. That's why I'm calling them Indians.
Everywhere that we go and we see a historical anything, they call them Indians. They never call them Native Americans or natives, or it's always Indians. And I don't know if that's just because the placards are outdated, or if it's not really considered, taboo to use the word Indian in these areas, or what.
Well, they were Native Americans, so we can call them that. I'm just explaining when I say Indian, it's referencing what I read. I think I read some of the placards, and you recorded me, and I said Indian, because that's what the placard said.
Yeah, that's all we've seen as Indian, so every time that you'll hear us say that, it's because that's what we saw.
And I always noticed that, and I wonder if that's not a thing in the South yet, if it's going to move and they're going to want to change all the placards to be more accurate, more PC. But regardless, we got to learn about the tribes that lived on this land, and they had some depictions of what they think their homesteads were like near the mound. Showed a picture of what we would have seen there 1,500 years ago. Building their little houses, mothers yelling at their unruly children as they're climbing up on the mound, just like my children were climbing up the mound today.
Rolling down. We're back in Alabama.
We thought we were crossing into Tennessee.
Yeah.
We were in Mississippi, and we thought our next state was Tennessee, so obviously we're wrong. And we are in Alabama, and it's a chance to see if we can get a renewed perspective of what Alabama is like, because our first time through Alabama was, kind of smelly and lots of litter, and we watched a boar getting gutted and skinned. So it was all kind of traumatic the first time we came through Alabama.
Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience the first time we went through Alabama.
It was interesting, but it wasn't like, oh, this is lovely.
Yeah. We didn't leave Alabama thinking like, oh, that's a state we might want to settle down in.
And then we found out that Greenbow, Alabama is fictional from Forrest Gump. It's not real, guys.
Greenbow, Alabama, where Forrest Gump grew up, doesn't exist.
We were pretty crushed to figure that out.
Yeah, I was really sad.
But now look, this is Alabama. This is pretty.
It's very pretty. Here, I'll show you.
And it smells good.
Beautiful. Beautiful Alabama. That's how the kids were.
Big fields.
Hey kids!
What?
We're back in Alabama. Brian said no.
That means we're closer to home.
We're in the northern part of Alabama.
We were in the southern part before, right?
Oh yeah.
Brian's like grumpy cat. We should take a picture of her when she's pouting and meme her.
Super grumpy cat.
Grumpy cat. I can be grumpy cat. I'm more irritated cat than grumpy cat. I get agitated.
Yeah, you're more scary cat, actually.
Thanks.
Okay. Smelling something.
Alabama.
Does it smell like Alabama?
Stinky? God, it's psychosomatic.
Maybe.
I'm imagining it.
Maybe it's just that swamp there. I don't know if you can see it. There's a swamp right there. Yeah.
It's a river.
River.
A swamp.
The one thing I've noticed is all the rivers in the south are brown. At least the ones that we've seen.
I have theories about that, but I am completely uneducated on the matter.
Well, if you at home know why all the rivers that we've seen in the south seem to be brown instead of like fresh, crystal clear water like we see in the north, comment below. Let us know what you think. Why are southern rivers brown. Is it because they're lazier rivers? Up the lazy river. I don't know if that's a song I'm allowed to sing on YouTube. There's little rock sculptures.
Ooh, that was cool. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be because they're polluted, or
Maybe.
it could be the wildlife in them.
Yeah.
The way they kick up the sediment, or
They also do seem to be a lot slower. They do seem like lazier rivers.
yes.
Like they're not rushing water. So maybe that's why. But if you, yeah, again, like I said, if you have any inkling as to why the water seems to be brown and or not as, doesn't move as much in the rivers in Georgia and Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, let us know. Tennessee River.
Oh, this is gorgeous.
It is. Oh, wow.
Look.
You guys, we're going over the Tennessee River.
That is so pretty. Wow, it's gorgeous.
It is. Oh, this is nice.
Ghirardelli luscious caramel, brown and white chocolate. Try new Ghirardelli white chocolate.
Don't want Ghirardelli commercials.
On this side too.
I am. Yeah. It's gorgeous. And the river doesn't look as brown either.
The sun is hitting the edge over there.
Yeah.
But look, so that's the kind of earth that's over there. It's like clay and it's red.
Yes.
You can see the layers in the, like you see those layers.
Yeah.
We should discuss it with the girls because they have earth science.
We should pull over there.
Do you want to for a minute?
Absolutely.
We're not getting out of the trace.
Do you guys want to get out and see the river?
No!
And looks like there's another van dweller here too. Oh wow, look how pretty it is.
It's freaking awesome.
Oh. Oh, that's
Front it up, but I
nice.
feel like I should.
Yes, you should.
I should.
Yes, absolutely.
Ruin their view.
Well, that's their problem. They should have pulled up further.
Sprinter van. That's gonna be a
No, it's a little old lady. Oh wow, look at that. Oh. Picture of that too. I wish we could just stay here and watch the sunset.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. The Trail of Tears. In May 1838, federal troops and state militias began to round up the Cherokee into stockades. In spite of warnings to troops to treat the Cherokee kindly, the roundup proved harrowing. Families were separated and people were given only moments to collect cherished possessions. White looters followed, ransacking homesteads as Cherokee were led away. By November, approximately 15,000 Cherokee had trudged 800 miles overland to the west. The roads were difficult, if not impassable. Rations were meager, and many succumbed to illness and poor conditions. Several thousand Cherokee continued to travel west by steamboat and barge from current-day Chattanooga, Tennessee, following the Tennessee River and passing through this area here, near Florence, Alabama. They continued on the Ohio, Mississippi, and Arkansas rivers, arriving in Native territory in 1838. By March 1839, all survivors had arrived in the West. No one knows how many died throughout the ordeal, but the trip was especially hard on infants, children, and the elderly. Historians estimate that over 4,000 died, nearly a fifth of the Cherokee people. The Trail of Tears National Historic Trail commemorates the forced removal of Cherokee from their homelands, the paths that 17 Cherokee detachments followed westward, and the revival of the Cherokee Nation. The trail passes through 9 different states, including Alabama and Tennessee. The sites on the trail, stretching 5,043 miles, form a journey of compassion and understanding.
Are you guys done fighting yet? We will turn this bus around and spend Christmas in the desert.
You're kidding.
You think I'm kidding? Mommy, set the GPS for Nevada. Careful. Don't actually do it.
Where are you, Raya?
Who wants to go to the Grand Canyon for Christmas?
What do you look like, Raya? I joined your game. And I'm a kid.
We'd never make it there in time. Even if we just drove straight through, didn't stop for potty breaks for gas or anything. Never make it in time. They're still crying back there.
Because they have to share a phone with her. Her phone is still missing,
Can't
right?
find her phone.
Loji shares.
Alright, I'll put on something educational for them to watch.
I'm like a little like.
Didn't get the camera out to show you that we crossed the Tennessee state line. But we did, we just crossed the Tennessee state line. Yay!
Yay!
And it's getting dark again. No matter how many times we vow not to drive in the dark, we drive in the dark pretty much every time.
The Natchez Trace, early American trail. The Natchez Trace, a very old trail, was traveled by many early Americans. Captain Meriwether Lewis, leader of the Lewis and Clark expedition and governor of the Upper Louisiana Territory, died near this point in 1809 while traveling the Natchez Trace to Washington, D.C. with his expedition, journals and accounts. In 1843, the state of Tennessee created Lewis County in his honor, and in 1848 erected a monument over his grave. The Natchez Trace played an important role in its service to the American military. General Andrew Jackson's troops traveled the Natchez Trace to engage the British during the War of 1812.
I don't know if you can see it, but right there, little dot, that's the Bethlehem Star. That's it. Jupiter and Saturn eclipsing.
We should have named Loji Meriwether.
We're off the trace.
I feel depressed, like I just lost a friend.
Me too.
It's like that feeling when you binge watch a show
And we got
on
dumped.
Netflix.
It was like we just got dumped off
I
the
know.
trace with not even a text message.
I can't see myself in there.
There, is that better?
Yeah. That's
was
a good
like-
way to put it. Like we thought that it was taking us off the trace 2 miles too soon because I thought it was 444 miles and it only added up to 442. So we're like, no, we're not getting off, we're staying on, but then it just forked. And the choices were 100 east or 100 west. There was no down the middle.
There was
So
no
I
trace.
just picked one and went the wrong way, and then I felt exactly like that feeling when you binge watch a Netflix show in 2 days and then when it's over you just like feel like you lost all your friends.
There was no trace of the trace.
Trace
after
of
that.
the trace.
And there, like I said, like it was like we got dumped without a text message. Like
Yeah.
nothing.
Threw us straight
There wasn't even a sign. Thank you for taking the trace.
I thought
Nothing.
There'd be like a pull off or a welcome center for the other side.
Yeah.
There was just nothing. And of course there was like a fancy Lamborghini behind me the last 10 miles and he seemed irritated.
He
that I was
revved
going
past us as soon as we were in a passing lane.
I just feel so like empty right now.
Me too.
Use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto
Shut up. Hey.
So we went the wrong way off of the trace.
Because we were trying to stay on the trace for the last 2 miles.
Yeah, so we went the wrong way and we've been threatening the kids that we're gonna turn this bus around and spend Christmas in the desert if they don't behave. And so we had to
2 lanes to turn left onto
We had to pull over. We had to
Oh, that's-
pull over to do a U-turn, and Loji noticed, and he's like, "Hey, turn the bus around!" He's panicking, and then he finally screams at the top of his lungs. This whole
Well,
trip,
I
we
said
haven't
I
seen
told you I was
words.
going to turn the bus around.
Oh, he screamed. He's like, "Turn this bus around!" He wanted us to go back. He thought we were taking him to the desert. Parenting done right, folks.
Yep. That's the way to do it. You torture your kids. That's how you give them character. That's how you give them character.
thought he was about to run up here and try to strangle you.
Well, he knows better than to unbuckle.
I've never heard him scream so loud. He had it in him. Oops, now I need to remember there's other traffic. We were alone on the trace and now there's all these other jerks everywhere.
Roll this window up.
Passing me on the right and I can't get over and they won't let me.
You got this like...
Well, but
I'm
they're-
sorry for the poor quality, everyone who's watching this. It's just like a spotlight on Ilsa's cheek.
It's ghost story time. When we got off the trace though, there were all these pretty Christmas lights, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, we were greeted by happy Christmas lights.
Like, hey, welcome back to civilization.